Greetings and welcome to a special edition of Consciousness Hijack with your host, Donnie Dinglebury. Today, we have a segment featuring our alter ego, the novelist James D. McCallister, who, upon the occasion of the death of poet, novelist, and lyricist Robert Hunter, called in to a national radio show known as Tales from the Golden Road, Sirius XM Channel 23, devoted to the music and discussion of the American rock band The Grateful Dead. Here's McCallister now with his contribution to the In Memoriam segment for Robert Hunter on Tales from the Golden Road, September 24th, 2019, at approximately 4:20 Eastern Daylight Time.
He's in his shop, Lucy's, big time deadhead. Also written books about being a deadhead, and has a lot of cool things to say. How you, Don?
Hello, David. Thank you. As I said earlier, thanks so much for doing this today. Deadheads, have to gather, and this is a moment when we need to do that. And the national radio show will have to do for the moment. Let me tell you an amazing personal synchronicity that has occurred here, and you have repeated this phrase several times, okay? You keep saying, I hope he knew. And I want you to know, on August 9th, 1995, after my friend Steve Armato called me, at the time I was not at Lucy's, I can tell you that much. I was at my office at USC. I had an academic career before the shop. And my friend called to say, damn, man, they're saying Jerry is dead on the radio. And so I immediately went where? Where do you think I went? I went to the Usenet group, the old GDead Usenet group. I mean, I guess it was either going to be that or the Well in those days, right? That was where the two biggest cyber deadhead gathering places. And I posted those words as part of just a brief little message. I said, well, we knew this day was coming, something like, we knew this day was coming, and now it's here, and now we know. And I just hope he knew how much it all meant, or words to that effect. And I think because it was one of the first, I don't know, I was pretty early, I was an early poster on the group, when the news broke. And I got a couple of calls from the media, like far away newspapers. It was really strange. And so 24 years later, and well, I should say, and then right after that, I went straight down to 5 Points here in Columbia, South Carolina, where there's a little store called Lucy's, and where my wife Jen was, and where we were again today. And it was so comforting to be there. It is sad, and I've already had sort of an emotional moment earlier off the air, thank goodness. And and we've all, or many of us in the community, I should say, or maybe most of us, have worked really hard over the last 2.5 decades to keep this thing alive, whatever it is. It is our fellowship, it is our community, and it really, as so many people have said so eloquently already, it is as big as America, and the broader culture has finally recognized that in many ways. And it's like Dennis was saying earlier, not to make a pun, but it's terribly gratifying to know that this work that's meant so much to all of us is part of the canon, as they say. And so anyway, this I hope he knew business really, really hit me. And so that's interesting to me. But I just want to say I have a couple of personal things I can contribute here. I never met Hunter. I am a lucky deadhead boy, though, and I'll tell you why. Because I did communicate with Hunter via email a little bit back in his DeadNet, the DeadNet guru days. And when he was going on tour in '97, which I want to talk about in just a second. But I got to spend the afternoon and evening with Barlow, in Albuquerque one year at the conference. And so it's like I get to say that I did communicate with the two wordsmiths of the band, and that's cool to me, and that makes me feel all warm and gooey inside. I'll tell you though that there's a dark side to the Hunter thing for me. Our interactions were brief and mild, and it's like I was asking him things like, will you allow taping on your tour, RH? You know how he would sign his emails with a little RH lowercase,
right?
And he said yes, it'll be fine. And then later, this was so foolish, and this is very personal, and I'll share it with everyone. I foolishly thought he would suffer a couple of questions when I was writing my book to see if the theme I was exploring, he felt was worth exploring, and he didn't write back. And I know now, I was much more of a callow youth. I mean, I'm 54 now, but I guess I was much more callow, I should say. And I realized I was asking things that were way out of bounds, I don't mean too personal, but I was asking him to weigh in on Jerry's mindset, and things like that. It's like, you don't do that. That was his best friend. What a fool I was. But I don't, it's not like I feel terrible or dwell on it. But in any case, but let's get to this 97 tour he did. That was his first time playing in a while, I think. The history of all that escapes me. But I just know that it was a big deal at the time. And I'll tell you why. It wasn't just that Robert Hunter was playing. It's that we were all still mourning. I think that was the spring of 97 when he went out, and maybe somebody can look that up real quick. But I know that my mother and I, who were Deadheads together, my mom was I'm Gen X. I'm like the, 65, born in 65. My mom was a baby boomer, and, and we ended up going to see the Grateful Dead together and really loved it. And she loved, she was a Garcia Hunter man. Or Garcia Hunter woman, rather, and loved and was very moved by this stuff. It wasn't just rock and roll to her. It wasn't just a good time like so many serious Deadheads, right? And so when Hunter announced his tour, we were over the moon together. We weren't standing on the moon, but we were over the moon. And so that's when I was emailing him about the taping, and we ended up going up there, and it was the Lisner Auditorium show in D.C. And and the Jerry Band played there, of course, a number of times back in, I think, what would that have been, 76, 77, 78 era. And I want you to know that room was church that night for everyone that was in there. And I think that Hunter felt it. I was back. I taped the show after all that, of course, using my late friend Clay's Neumann KM54s, I think. And I went down front. I got to walk down front. It was a pretty laid back show, and I just walked down front at one point and kind of stood off to the side, and I could really see him, and I could see that he was responding to all of us, feeling so thankful that he had done this and come out on the road and shared his voice, not just the words, you understand, that we all know by heart. His literal voice was ringing out over all of us, and to all of us who didn't have the opportunity. We're East Coasters, man. We don't get to hang out with Robert Hunter, so not usually. So that was that. You talk about needing a miracle. Boy, we needed one 22 years ago when he played for us, and I really felt it that day. And that was just a wonderful. That's my most personal. I've given you my most personal Hunter stuff. Especially that business about sending him these questions. That was just dumb. But there is something else that I've got to get in here. That is, I want to remind, I know Bence Kirby, our friend Bence Kirby, he's called in before with his Robert Hunter story. I just want to say that to everyone who hadn't heard it. I don't know if he'll call in. Maybe he will himself. But, his mom, like my mom, was a deadhead. And one day she emails, again, Hunter's he was kind of accessible for a little while there, in the earlier days of the internet. And so she emails him with this heartfelt thing. His mother was a librarian. Her name was Justice Kirby, rest her soul. And she said, Robert Hunter, I love the song Ramble On Rose, and I also love the Harry Potter books, which were hugely popular at the time, I guess. And she asked him if he would write a special verse in Ramble On Rose for Harry Potter. And damn if Robert Hunter doesn't write her back with a little custom verse for that song that her son Bence and his
right here, Don.
her son Bence now sings in the band, and my wife sings it too when she performs with him. And we feel like here in Columbia, South Carolina, we are a bastion of this little nugget of this little jewel that Robert Hunter dropped on us. Partially.
I have it right here, man. Send me the email.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Read it.
Hunter wrote back, Dear Ms. Kirby.
Here we go. Yeah.
Just like Harry Potter, just like Groucho Marx, just a touch of double clutch and bite the dog that barks.
Oh my God. That is just, I have a
perfectly fits the whimsy of that song, doesn't it?
It does. And so, listen, that's, I can't do any better than that. So that's all the stories I got for you, but I'm honored to be on with everyone. And hey, you need to get Nick Merriweather on. Come on. Where's Nick in all this? Who else do we need to get on, right?
I don't know.
We'll
see what we can do.
I don't know. But in any case, thank you.
Don McCallister calling from Loose Lucy's in Columbia, South Carolina. Thank you for your time, my friend.
You got it. See you soon, buddy.
All right. You've been listening to novelist James D. McCallister discussing the death of Robert Hunter, lyricist, poet, novelist, on Tales from the Golden Road, a Sirius XM radio network show devoted to discussion of the Grateful Dead phenomenon. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you again on another edition of Consciousness Hijack. I'm Donnie Dinglebury, your host.